What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got some pretty awesome Destiny 2 Shadowkeep news to jump in and talk about. So the Year 3 Vidoc has just gone live. Bungie talk about new exotics, locations, enemies, the activity content that we're going to see over the next few months, Bungie's vision for Year 3, and we see stuff like the new bounties and loot system for the moon. They even show us the dungeon and talk about how players will impact the world moving forward. They talk a little bit about future season kind of activities, PvP plans, content, and how they expect to roll all of that stuff out. And so we're going to talk about it all in this video. I hope you guys enjoy it as always. If you do, a rating is very much appreciated. But now, let's get straight into it. Initially, they spend some time talking about how they want the actions of the player to push the story moving forward. And in this section of the Vidoc, we get some pretty cool footage. So we see the new strike on Io. This is the Festering Core. Looks like it's going to have some pretty crazy mechanics going on. But we get even more shots of the lunar surface and some action taking place there, as well as some kind of hellscape versions of areas in the game that are pretty cool. Not sure if these will be part of the campaign or nightmare hunts, but there's a lot of neat stuff right there. They loosely kind of talk about this story that's taking place in Shadowkeep. We get a bit of a cutscene where we can see that Eris is rather frustrated.
You're all insufferable! Save your torment for someone who gives a damn.
Gonna be an interesting story. We even see nightmares here actually transform into enemies, which is pretty cool. As well as a pretty curious looking, I believe that is a scout rifle. But to get into some of the meaty stuff that Bungie show us on screen, as they talk about Armor 2.0, they show us a Warlock here decked out in those Vex ornaments, we can see the icons for them, and a pretty cool exotic ghost shell. We see a finisher mod right here called Healthy Finisher. Finishers heal you, and this requires 1/10 of your super energy, so one of the kind of low cost, low benefit mods that you can apply to the finisher. I'm not entirely sure what the weapons we can see right here are, but we see Guardians with the Vex offensive armor. Maybe these are ornaments for Vex offensive weapons. But also we see the lunar stuff. They show us some of the lunar weapons here. They have this pretty cool mechanic where the kind of faction icons on them glow red when you're close to a nightmare. This player is also at the Altar of Sorrow. These look like nightmare hunts. Eliminate the nightmare boss before it sacrifices. We also see Altars of Sorrow Tier 1, where they need to kill 8 nightmares. So I would guess that this is the nightmare hunt mode. On screen though, they show us a pretty juicy look at the Deathbringer exotic rocket launcher. This one fires projectiles and detonates a little bit like a Nova Bomb or something, so that's certainly really cool. Here though, we see something called the LECTERN of Enchantment. This is a new kind of vendor that is obviously going to be pretty critical to what we'll do on the moon. A mechanism of the occult, built by Eris Morn to harness even the most unstable of magics. Access the LECTERN to create gear using nightmare essences, and collect bounties. So we can see shock therapy, defeat enemies in nightmare hunts with arc damage, and finishing the hunt to defeat enemies in nightmare hunts with finishers. And there are some specific materials that you can kind of trade there. Presumably some of them are actually the kind of nightmare essence that we'll use to craft the gear. This is the Hive Cryptoglyph that we've seen spoken about previously. So just a little taste of some of the kind of endgame loot system there. And of course that is specifically for Shadowkeep. Here though, Bungie talk about seasons and how they want them to kind of evolve over time. So check this out.
Each year we have an expansion set that comes out like Shadowkeep, and we're gonna have 4 follow-on seasons. And the expansions themselves are like meant to be an anchor that is gonna set that arc in a place. That growth, evolution, change, that's the stuff that manifests in the seasons. So we evolved the season pass.
One of the biggest changes from the seasonal model you'll see from the annual pass is that we're focusing a lot more on how the seasons actually connect to one another. We want to make sure we're actually threading a narrative that players can follow starting in Shadowkeep.
We're going to start telling one continuous story.
You want it to be meaningful. You want to understand, like, why was I sent there?
We're actually trying to set up this concept of the season being something that occurs and you want to be there and you want to experience it.
The players are moving the world forward. They're making an impact. They're leaving that resonance in the world itself.
How can Guardians actually come together and do something that unlocks rewards, pursuits, new experiences for everyone?
We want a universe that's dynamic and changing. It's a universe where you can have memories. You can say things like, I was there when.
Some pretty cool stuff right there. We can see here that the Nightfall, the Ordeal, on Legend difficulty is going to be a pretty solid thing to get done. Champions Unstoppable, Barrier, Match Game, Hashluden's Serenade, and Equipment Locked. We don't know, of course, what all of those modifiers do, but we do see some enemies that appear to have kind of immune shields. But we can see that you get guaranteed common exotic gear, as well as enhancement prisms and shards, and specifically that is on the Legend and Master difficulties. So more predictable rewards for some of the content in the game. This is how Bungie explain some of these new settings and options in the game.
Every season they log into Destiny, there's a new way to play the game. Season rank, the artifact, the bonus power that comes with the artifact, player elected difficulty. These are all systems that are designed to make the game more compelling as a character building game.
What we wanted to provide with the artifact was an infinite power grind for the players.
The seasonal artifact is going to give you the tools that you need to defeat champions, our new hardest enemies in the new Nightfall modes.
We're calling it Nightfall the Ordeal, so the players can choose how hard they want their difficulty to be. The further up you move in difficulty, the more likely you are to get the kind of rewards that you're looking for.
The end game now is about powering up your artifact to get more powerful beyond your gear, so you get to the hardest challenges, the hardest level of the Nightfall, or you're trying to hit the hardest raid challenge or the dungeon.
Gotta say, the dungeon definitely taking place on the moon. We do see a very cool looking boss right there, and this is how Bungie explained the dungeon for Shadowkeep.
The dungeon that we're shipping in Shadowkeep's time frame is deep within the moon. You fight your way down into like the depths of this chasm, and there's all kinds of traps on the way.
This is an opportunity for people that want the raid experience in terms of the mystery of the activity, but with Fire Teams 3.
Bungie say that they have a renewed focus for PvP. They'll be introducing new maps, returning maps, and iterations of certain game modes to play inside of Crucible Labs. And from that, they'll kind of select which PvP content players are enjoying the most, and find ways to push it into the game. We get a pretty incredible preview of what these Vex invasions on the moon are going to look like though. And they say that really this is kicking off the entirety of the rest of the season. Moving on from there, they say that as we approach Season 9, we'll see how we're going to transition between these major content drops. They also tease us with Rasputin B-roll when they talk about Season 9. That's going to be Season of Dawn, so maybe Rasputin themed. And they do finish off with some really cool B-roll and a few inspiring words about the future, so guys, check those out as we end the video today. But let us know your thoughts on everything that we've covered here. The future roadmap is certainly looking pretty interesting, and it's nice to finally have a few more juicy details about Shadowkeep. But if you've enjoyed the video, a rating is very much appreciated. Be sure to get subscribed to keep up to date with everything related to the game. But otherwise, I hope you guys have an awesome day.
Charging you up, Lars. Get in there.
Go ahead. We're thinking a lot about how we lay the foundations for a healthier PvP game.
We're really committed starting in year 3 to have a renewed focus all through the year on PvP. That's going to be bringing back Destiny 1 maps. It's going to be bringing elimination into Crucible Labs.
We're doing this really cool thing where we have 4 different iterations. Try them out week to week on the new maps and get feedback.
We want seasons to be relevant for everyone. We want it to feel like everybody has something new to do and feel like they're all doing it together. We're here to build something that lives.
Season of the Undying is when the Vex start invading from the Black Garden. And when they start invading the moon, you get to help take them out. Over the course of that 3-month period, you're going to be getting more powerful, stronger, and then eventually you're going to stop that invasion.
The story that we're telling is about the impact that the Vex can have on the whole solar system if we leave them unchecked.
It's really going to kick that Act 1 of Year 3 off. And then Season 8 gets going with a raid, Vex offensive, we've got nightmare hunts, exotic quests, explore the moon, new strikes, new PvP maps. There's just so much going on, no matter what kind of player you are.
Season 8 is the catalyst.
Season 9 is really where things start to build, and then Season 10 is where things start to get pretty intense, and then Season 11, everything is going to come together, and you're going to want to be there to see it happen. It's going to be like no other time in Destiny.
Single evolving world is one of the biggest changes that we're going to make over time to Destiny. Getting to that single evolving world is asking us to kind of unlearn a bunch of the things that we've learned.
Hopefully we think we've made the right calls, and if the answer is no, like, the good news is we're in full control to change it. We can keep evolving the game.
we're turning it into a game that we're all proud to be working on.
We have a vision, we have a roadmap, we have a place we want to take Destiny, and Shadowkeep and Season of the Undying are just the first steps.
It's a foundation. This is like the bedrock that we're going to build a lot of other stuff on top of.
Forsaken broke a bunch of the bones that we had set, with Destiny 2. What we've been able to do this year is reset them. Are we done? No, not even close.